Welcome to Office Hours by Triple X Church. I'm your host, Carl Thomas. I'm a certified neurohealth coach, a pastor, and a guy who frankly struggled with a lot of stuff I talk about here for over 20 years until I found freedom about a decade ago. In today's episode, I'm going to be jumping in and answering this question. My wife and I haven't had sex for over 3 years. How can I get sexual fulfillment? That's what I will be discussing today, so make sure you hang in there with me. Recognize that no questions are off the table, and I'm going to be as honest with my answers as I possibly can be, so don't get offended. Without any further delay, let's jump in. Okay, so this question came into our office hours page. My wife and I have been married for 9 years and we have had a 5-year-old child. My wife's hormones changed and we have not been having sex for about 3 years now. I have a strong desire for sex but could not fulfill it. I ended up going to an erotic massage from time to time. I also watch porn sometimes and masturbate often. What can I do to get sexual fulfillment? All right, so as always, a lot of the questions we get, we've answered to some degree in previous episodes. And this question is just kind of another form of ones we've seen in the past, which is, hey, I'm a guy, I'm not getting sex from my wife. What can I do other than look at porn and masturbate? Usually these questions come down to some sort of, what they really are asking is it okay, to look at porn or masturbate? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes there's a sincere desire to do something other than those things, but still, bottom line, I'm not getting sex. I need sex. What am I going to do? First thing I want to say, and again, not trying to be harsh here, but it's just the truth. Okay, you're married. You have a covenant here. There is never a appropriate reason or excuse to act out with porn, to go to massage parlors, to cheat on your wife, any of that stuff. Okay. Never a good excuse for that. Okay. It doesn't matter if you haven't had sex for 10 years. Okay. That's not a legit excuse because honestly, at the end of the day, while sex is, you might say it's a need on some levels, it's not an actual survival need, right? It's not air, it's not food, it's not shelter. We can survive without sex. There's a lot of people who survive 20 plus years without sex because they're a virgin until they get married. So it is possible to live without sex. That said, I understand the situation, and I understand as a married man, especially if you've had sex prior to childbirth, how frustrating it can be. I get the fact that you want to have sex with your wife. I'm not callous to that. And certainly we don't want you to be in that situation. First thing I would say before I get into any of the advice regarding the actual problem with sex is this. If you're acting out, if you're masturbating often, if you're going to massage parlors, my big question would be, was this stuff part of your repertoire before, right? Maybe you didn't go to massage parlors, but you did have a struggle with porn in the past. Maybe you've always masturbated. I don't know. But at the end of the day, if these are things that you've done in the past, you probably have, well, not probably, you have some recovery work you need to do because I got news for you. The fact that you're acting out as frequently as you are, the way you are, yes, it seems like your wife's lack of sex is the cause. It's not. There's other factors, more on the mental health side that you need to deal with, okay? And because you're not dealing with those things, the lack of sex in your marriage is triggering these responses to go act out, right? Let's just get that one off the table. And if that's the case, I would highly recommend that you see a counselor, that you join something like the Live Free community. Maybe you get a support group like we have at Small Groups Online, whatever, but you need to deal with that. Regarding the sex itself issue, one thing we need to understand, especially as men, is that men and women, we both reach orgasms this kind of the same way in terms of we both need to have excitement and arousal to orgasm. However, for women, these phases are very different in terms of like the excitement, the arousal, and the desire stages. For men, they're very similar and can almost feel like the same exact thing. And Sheila Gregoire does excellent, covers this topic very well in either of her books, The Great Sex Rescue, and if you're a guy, The Good Guy's Guide to Great Sex. So to be honest, a lot of this stuff comes from Sheila's research. But understand that men, we desire and then we move quickly to arousal and excitement, or excitement and arousal. Again, look up Sheila. She'll give you the exact order. Women are a little different. They need to experience excitement and arousal before they experience desire. So you might say, oh, I desire sex, I want sex. She's not even in the same stratosphere, right? She's not experiencing desire. So then you need to do something to build excitement and arousal, which will then trigger the desire. It's the difference between having a spontaneous libido versus a responsive libido. That said, again, I'm not going to get into all the ins and outs of it. I would check out Sheila's book in terms of how you get your wife into the excitement and arousal stages so she experiences desire. But I would say, since this is not a medical thing, right? You didn't say, oh, she's experiencing pain. That's a whole different situation. And there's also workarounds for that, but it's a lot more challenging. This is more of a, you said it's hormonal. So maybe it is, maybe it's not, maybe it's just emotional. But at the end of the day, I think it comes down to this idea of she's not in the mood. How do you get her in the mood? And that's the thing. You have to work on building excitement and arousal before she expresses the desire to have sex. And again, check out Sheila's book. It's going to give you a lot of good tips on that. That's all I got for you. I hope it helps. If you have a question for me that you want answered on an upcoming Office Hours episode, go to xxchurch.com/office-hours. Submit your question there, and I will do my best to answer it in the coming weeks. That's it, and I'll see you next time.